The Jag Bros are back, and oh baby, what a win Monday night. The Jaguars defeat the Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence stumbles twice, runs into the end zone, beating the Chiefs 31-28. We're the Jag Bros. My name's Jack with my two brothers, JT and Joey. We're diehard fans in the highs and the lows, and this feels like an all-new height. We're, of course, going to break down the game. We're going to give where we rank the Jags in the AFC and power rankings, but I just need to hear from y'all. What does this mean as a lifelong diehard Jags fan? What did Monday night mean to you?
Oh, man. It's been 14 years since we won a Monday Night Football game. It's been 15 years since we beat Andy Reid. It's been 16 years since we beat the Chiefs. It's been 18 years since we started out 4-1. And it's been 26 years since we were the number one team in the AFC. We are finally and officially back. That's right. You look like the 90s Jaguars. You play like the 90s Jaguars. Old Jags go down 14, and then they get blown out. Old Jags somehow scrape and claw to get it back to 14-14, and then let the Chiefs score. Not a 100-yard interception for a touchdown. Old Jags somehow might be able to be still in it, and they give up that go-ahead touchdown. What do we see in the 2-minute drill? We see Trevor take a sack fumble, and then we never get a chance to win. But not these Jaguars. We are dangerous, we are clutch, and we just put the entire league on notice that we are here to play.
This game was so much bigger than people are talking about. Yes, we beat the Chiefs, and yes, we won on Monday night, which was huge for the national stage, for Jaguars to be everywhere on social media. I mean, Liam Coen's on Pat McAfee. We're on every talk show. No one can get enough of the Jags right now, and it's incredible to see. But what was so big about this game was every other game until this game, we were leading and we won. And the defense had to step up and win us the game. This was completely opposite. We're down 14-0 at the beginning of the game. You have to battle back, and then the offense now has to go win the game. And guess what? You did it. So that means you can rely on your defense to win the game, and you can rely on your offense to win the game. And it doesn't matter if you're winning and you have the lead and you can keep it, or if you're behind and you need to go win the game and go put points on the board. This team has done all of it. It is so well-rounded. It is so well-coached. And I don't like comparing this team to anyone else because this team just seems different. They find ways to win. They play together. And it is incredible to watch this team. And it's so fun to watch this team.
Man, we are so excited, and I love it. And, I was thinking about it today a couple different ways. One, so all three of us, again, we're diehard. We grew up in Jacksonville. We've been Jags fans since the 90s, since, the Jaguars became an official NFL team and franchise. But for a lot of people, they don't have the taste or the memory. Heck, I was, 6-7 years old for most of the time that the Jaguars were dominant and were a great team in the 90s. So I just barely remember it. For a lot of Jags fans, this is one of the greatest starts that they've ever seen. I mean, this is truly special. I love the 2017 team, and I love Saxonville, but even that team, they struggled to get going, and they kind of finished 2022, had that amazing run. But again, they struggled to start well early. This is a team where there's just a new energy, a new level, a new excitement. Joey, you and I were at a cool experience in Cosm here in Dallas. It's just this giant jumbotron of the game. Jags fans were obviously pretty quiet that first half because there was way more Chiefs fans. But as the Jaguars started building, we were loud, of course, through the whole game. It was just awesome getting to celebrate as you're leaving with random people, but that are Jags fans. You're yelling Duuuval throughout the parking lot. So it's just a new level, a new wave of excitement that, again, for a lot of Jags fans, or maybe even new Jags fans, you've never really experienced before. And one more shout out to new Jags fans. It's a great time to be listening and following to the Jag Bros. Hit subscribe, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We try to be on every platform that you can listen to. Download it, share it, invite other people. This is the time to be all in on the Jags and the Jag Bros podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, I wore all my Jags gear Tuesday morning when I went into the office, and I have people who aren't Jags fan coming up and congratulating me on the game. They're like, the Jags put on an incredible game. They looked great. It was fun to watch. I haven't heard that about a primetime Jags game, I don't think, ever. And it was just incredible to be able to wear it, have it pride, and have people come up and congratulate you on the game instead of, oh, it's fluky, or you're really a Jags fan and all that. Had to deal with that for so long, and then to have a complete opposite reaction where the entire world was kind of cheering for the Jags versus the Chiefs. It was incredible.
It was so fun. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but last night Tom Brady released his power rankings, and guess who's number 5? Jacksonville Jaguars. He's got the Lions, Eagles, Bucks, and Bills ahead of us. And you know what? It's a legitimate top 5 because the teams behind us, it's the 49ers, Colts, Broncos, Packers, and Patriots. That's absolutely where we belong. We belong in the top 5. We belong in the big picture. We're tied for number 1 in the AFC, the entire conference. It's incredible. It's so much fun. Joey, that's the word you used. That's the way it felt. And look, like, don't get me wrong. There was a moment when we're down 14 and the back of my mind is like, oh no, is this about to be a 28-7? Is this about to be 31-7? But the more you think about it, it's like, no, we just drove down the field. We did have the fumble on the goal line. We're resilient. We've got a great coach and a team that has shed all of the loser mentality that we've had for years, for a decade plus within this organization. It's fun. The sky is the limit here for this team.
JT, you brought it up with Tom Brady, who obviously knows ball and who is the GOAT and has the Jaguars in the top 5. We're not going to do our full power rankings, but just looking at the AFC, because the Jags are currently tied in first. Who wants to get us rolling? What would be your, let's say, top 5 teams in the AFC be right now, power ranking style?
I think at this point you have to keep Buffalo there. I know they just lost to the Patriots, but for whatever weird reason, Buffalo has a horrible record against, Josh Allen has a horrible record against the Patriots during his tenure. So I think you have to keep them there. But I would put Jacksonville number 2. The Chargers are banged up. They've had a lot of injuries on their offensive line. They don't look near as dangerous as they did. We just beat the Chiefs. The Colts are the only other team that's 4-1 besides the 3-1 Steelers. Both of those teams I think are flawed, but I would have Jacksonville number 2, probably the Colts I'd probably still have Kansas City number 3, especially when they get Raji Rice back. You can't count them out. But yeah, then maybe the Colts and the Steelers. But I mean, Jacksonville's got to be in the top 3. There's no way you can't put them there.
Jaguars absolutely have to be top 3. You beat the 49ers at their house, where everyone has them as like the second or third best NFC team. Then you beat the Chiefs, which you did on prime time, and a desperate Chiefs team that needed that win because they're trying to turn the corner. And you go and you take it right from them. And this is the hardest part of your schedule, and you're 4-1. It only gets easier later on in the year. So absolutely, we are top 3. And I would probably go Jaguars. And I have to put the Colts, but I think they have our back of half schedule at the front. So their schedule only gets harder. And I think that they will fall down some. But as of right now, it has to be Bills, Jags, Colts.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, that feels right. Again, you point out Steelers, yes, they're 3-1. But that is an old Steelers team riding with a lot of guys, year 11, 12, 13, obviously Aaron Rodgers being their quarterback. So, yes, Bills, they have that experience. They have the reigning MVP. Josh Allen looks phenomenal again. So right now he's first. But the Jags are in that 2 spot. And I am so excited. Like, how crazy is it that the Colts and the Jags are 4-1? And honestly, both of them are a play away from 5-0. Colts had that weird AD Mitchell, or not weird, I guess just dumb, AD Mitchell, where he fumbles the ball by himself on the 1-yard line against the Rams, and a game that they probably could have won it if he doesn't make that play. And then, of course, the Jags have all sorts of one plays that should have gone their way in the Bengals game. But those games in the second half are going to be fun. But yeah, Bills, Jags, Colts feels like the right top three in the AFC, and not just a Jags bias. Of course, Colts fans would probably put their team, number two, but
well,
they are
hold up. Would you actually put Kansas City? I put Kansas City over the Colts. I think if you put them on a neutral field, I think Kansas City wins more often than not against the Colts.
Man, I don't know. I hope the Jags broke the Chiefs because they have a lot of problems.
They're going to get Raji Rice back. They're figuring out their running backs room. Like their defense is still really good, and there are some hero plays Trevor made in this game when we start breaking him out. Like I don't know if Daniel Jones makes those same plays.
I don't think Daniel Jones is playing at like a top 3 level, which is crazy.
Well, one, I don't think the defense is nearly as dominant as it used to be for the Chiefs. I mean, we saw that with ourselves with the Jaguars, and then the Colts really should be 3-2. They lost to the Broncos, except they had that fluky penalty that gave them the game. So, I mean, I know the Colts are good against bad teams.
You're right, Joey. They blew out the Raiders, they blew out the Titans, and they blew out the Dolphins. Those are probably 3 of the bottom 5 teams in the league. So how good is the Colts? I think is questionable. And yes, the Chiefs are 2-3, but I mean, I'd much rather play the Colts in a playoff game than the Chiefs in a playoff game, regardless. But at this point, look. It's not unrealistic to say Jacksonville is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Jacksonville is a legitimate horse to win the AFC, and to potentially have that first round bye. Like it's crazy what a difference a coaching staff can make. And we'll break down the game here in a second, but it was all 3 phases of the game Jacksonville played good to great. In all 3 phases.
And the thing that absolutely makes them a Super Bowl contender is we're winning these games, not playing out of our minds our perfect ball. Like there's still so many points that we are leaving on the field. This offense seems like it's just starting to get together. BTJ and Travis Hunter are starting to get chemistry with Trevor Lawrence, and you're starting to see some of it. There's still some issues, delay of games, and a few other things that need to be cleaned up. But there's still such a ceiling for this team, and that we can hit a bigger high in the second part of the season, that they absolutely can be a contender.
Joey, you're spot on. I mean, right now, Jacksonville's averaging 25 points per game, which is a full touchdown better than what they were last year. But we're 10th. In the league for points per game. Passing, we're 14th. Third down conversion, we're actually 22nd. We're bottom 10 right now in the league for third down conversion. We're bottom 10 in red zone conversion. So there are a lot of ways that you could see this team produce a lot more. And every single week, you're seeing Trevor gain more confidence. You're seeing Travis Hunter get better and more acclimated to the NFL. You're seeing Brian Thomas start building chemistry and confidence, and then you add in ETN and Tootin. Like this is a dangerous team. And oh, by the way, offensive line, we might have the number 1 offensive line in the NFL right now. I saw Pro Football Focus before the game said that through 4 weeks we were the number 1 offensive line based off of their ratings. At minimum, we're a top 5 offensive line, which is just crazy. Like all of these stats and all these things are just crazy to think compared to where the Jaguars have been.
I want to also shout out, not only is this offensive line playing incredible, but it's not just the starters. This offensive line coach needs to be praised so much. I mean, rookie Jonah Monheim goes in there against the Chiefs, against Chris Jones, and doesn't lose a step. Anton Harrison goes out. Chuma Adoga doesn't lose a step. Can't tell the difference between them. We are having backups go in there, and the offensive line is still performing at a top 10 level. Trevor's still not getting sacked or hit. He's growing comfortable back there. It is incredible what this offensive line is doing.
So let's break down the offense. So the offense produced 24 of the 31 points on tonight's game. Trevor was 18 for 25, 221, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Now, that interception is certainly not on him. That was a horrible, blatant missed call where the Chiefs tackled our wide receiver, and which led to that pick, and absolutely should have been a defensive pass interference. But he also had 54 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, including the crazy one-yard touchdown that he had. ETN 12 for 49. Brian Thomas Jr., our leading wide receiver with 80 yards. Travis Hunter got 64 yards, including that big catch at a critical time in the game. Where do you guys want to go on the offensive side of the ball? What stuck out at you positively?
Got to start with Trevor. First off, from all the Jag bros, all Jags, everyone, happy birthday, Trevor. Trevor Lawrence is apparently just awesome playing on his birthday. He's 2-0 with some of his best stats. But this is something you and I, Joey, talked about a bunch watching the game, was the fire and intensity from Trevor Lawrence that entire game. That's something I think all of Jags fans have been dying to see more of it. And I think that's a big shout out to Coach Coen, because he brings that level of fire and intensity, and it's clearly spreading to the whole team. Trevor was the leader for the offense when they needed a big play. JT, as you shouted out, he was huge in the ground game. 10 carries for 54 yards, leading the entire Jags rushing attack, having 2 touchdowns on the ground. Of course, that crazy play at the end that's going to live. That's just one of those plays that Jags fans are going to remember the rest of their life. The double stumble, get back up. Trevor even talked about it after. He was like, yeah, I was just thinking about throwing it away, and I just saw the hole. Like, there was a hole, and I knew I had no timeouts and limited time. He just gets up and runs. So the rushing ability, making the big throws, that about 30-yard pass down the sideline, which is just a small window in that third long on that last drive to BTJ, where the cornerback is a step behind BTJ. The safety's coming hard, and he just nails it right in the middle of the window. That's a picture perfect throw. Still not a perfect game from Trevor. The delay games were beyond frustrating, but again, this is a Trevor that, look, I mean, if you're looking at the other side of the field, that's a Patrick Mahomes sort of game where he makes the big plays. The Jags were 5 for 9 on third down. They were good in the red zone, other than, yes, the fumble and the 1-yard line, which we can talk about in a bit. But like, when the game and when Trevor needed to make a big play, he made the big play. And that is something we've barely been able to say on this podcast. So that felt like such a massive win for Trevor and, of course, for the Jags.
So for those that don't know, we've been doing this podcast for a few years now, and we actually started right after the 2022 magical run, thinking that that was the moment that Jacksonville was going to turn the corner. And it's like, oh, let's do it right before all these people start joining on the Jaguars bandwagon. There's an opportunity for us to put our names out there and to be a great voice for fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And one of the things that we consistently said in 2023 and most of 2024 before Trevor went out is Trevor is anti-clutch on the big third downs, on the fourth downs, in the fourth quarter of games. How many times have we seen Trevor take the sack fumble? How many times in the red zone do we see Trevor throw a mind-boggling pick? How many times do we see these type of plays happen? And for one of the first times that can really solidify, that was amazing to go out and do that against the Chiefs, to put that throw on Brian Thomas Jr. where there was zero margin for error. The next throw where he hits De'Ami Brown on that out was a perfect throw. The fact that he was willing to run as frequently and as much as he did this game, I mean, he put the team on his back offensively. And yeah, it was clunky at times, but it was effective enough to keep us in the game and then ultimately to win the game. Trevor was amazing. That was so much fun. In every single game, you're seeing little wrinkles of his game take that next step. Like we've seen a reduction of bad throws and mind-boggling plays. We've seen a reduction of bad throws. We're seeing an increase of him willing to use his legs when this first or second read is not there. Like if he continues on this path, he could be really good again. And look, this is a guy who won at the highest level in college football. It's not like it's a guy that he's never experienced success. Some people are like, oh, is Jacksonville going to not be able to experience, is Jacksonville not going to be able to handle success in the future? I mean, they should. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, these are our national championship winning teams. Brian Thomas Jr., a very good, talented LSU team. Liam Coen, a very talented coach, offensive coordinator for the Bucs. They absolutely should be able to handle success.
Trevor's was exactly what I wanted him to be last game. And that was a huge glimpse back into 2022. He's driving the ball down the field. He is using his legs. He can be an effective dual threat. He runs very well. And when you add that aspect to the game, it allows him to open up the field a lot more. They have to crash down quicker because, hey, he may take off. and allows you to get open wide receivers further down the field. And I think that's where Trevor shines, is when he's throwing the ball much further than just dinks and dunks. I think that's why he misses some layups. Some quarterbacks are just not like that. I'm going to hit every single free throw, but hey, I may hit these massive 3-pointers. And we need to work on driving the ball down the field, just like we did last game. It looks where Trevor is the most comfortable. He makes the best throws. When he's got to kind of air it out more, I just like that part of Trevor's game so much more. And he is clutch when he doesn't have to be 100% perfect like you did in the last 2023-2024 Jags offense, which was just so predictable and not a smart play call. And he wasn't able to check any plays. And it just was an ugly offense versus this team is so different. People aren't understanding. These are brand new coaches, brand new front office. This team is so different than anything that anyone has ever had in Jacksonville, and they just need to get used to that. Stop putting old stuff on this new team, because no one is the same and everyone is playing at a brand new level.
It's a great point. Like we talked about it a lot these last couple episodes. The Jaguars go in week 3 against the Texans at home, where they've not had much success in the last 10 plus matchups against the Texans. They find a way to win. They go out to the West Coast, where we're like, man, we've never beaten the 49ers in San Francisco. We go out and beat them. And then we come Monday night, prime time. We're like, oh, the Jags don't do well here. We don't do well against Mahomes or the Chiefs. We find a way to win. So you cannot compare any of the old stuff, because it is a new day, a new era in Jacksonville. And it's exciting. And one of my keys was you've got to be able to out physical the Chiefs. Like you've got to out chief how the Chiefs play. And again, a ton of credit has to go to the offensive line, giving Trevor time. Yes, they weren't able to get the running game fully established, but they were able to run it enough with ETN at about 50 yards and Lawrence going for over 50 yards. They were able to run it enough that the Chiefs had to respect the run. And yes, Joey, you pointed out the Jags O-line, they're dealing with injuries. Strange goes out as well, and that's really massively unfortunate. He's on the IR because he's been a big part of the blocking game as well. But the big boys up front set Trevor up and set this offense up for some good success and ultimately for the win in that final drive.
What we said in the breakdown is Liam Coen is going to have to out-scheme the schemer in Spagnuolo on the Chiefs, their defensive coordinator. And he did for a lot of those plays, a lot of high leverage plays. I mean, you're seeing speed options. You're seeing that great rollout in the first half of the game where it set up Trevor's attempted QB sneak, where he almost scored there, except for the Chiefs linebacker made a hero play to keep him out of the end zone on that rollout. I mean, there's just great, beautiful play calling at the right time to enable even the Tim Patrick drop. That was a great play call, having him cut across the field and then go up, do a little in and up. Oh, that was such a beautiful play and a nice throw that should have been caught by Tim Patrick. The play calling is excellent. He's got a very good feel for when to call those plays too. And shout out to the coaching staff too for cleaning up the penalties. 4 for 25 for Jacksonville. 3 of those were on Trevor, whether it was the false starts or the very head-scratching throwing the ball, illegal forward pass where he passed the line of scrimmage before throwing the ball. But, I mean, no more legal procedures. You didn't see a ton of false starts. You didn't see any of the things that had plagued Jacksonville being one of the most penalized teams before in the past, and it really kept us in a good position.
Well, and speaking of beautiful plays, Joey, you've been pounding the table to get Hunter involved more and more on the offense, which I'm loving because I just traded for him in Dynasty last week. But, Joey, talk about that highlight play. Trevor throws that ball up, just an amazing catch from Travis Hunter.
It was such a beautiful catch. The concentration as you go up for the ball, and then to be able to hold on to it as you're being thrown to the ground, 2 defenders, and it's slightly underthrown, so he has to come back for it. A little bit like if you played the old football game in the backyard, jackpot, kind of just throwing it up, and that's going up and making a play. If I want to force feed something, I want to force feed it to Hunter. He is there and he's making plays in big moments. He is taking the ball when he's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, juking two people out and going and getting a first down. It's 3rd down and 15. They throw it 3 yards, and he's juking out more people, getting up the field, getting towards the middle. Didn't get the first down, but was able to put it into field goal range for Cam Little, making it a lot easier of a kick. They need to manufacture plays, get this guy involved as much as possible because he is different. When the game is on the line, I want it going to Travis Hunter. I think he can make that play. There's something about him. He has that Patrick Mahomes spark of he's going to do whatever it takes to win the game. And I think even if he's triple covered, he's going to go jump out of the ceiling and catch the ball because that's just the player he is.
It was so good to see both the Jaguars star receivers play well. 4 for 80 for BTJ, 3 for 64 for Travis Hunter. And as you said, Joe, each of those 3 catches, those 3 targets, was a highlight play. Of course, the biggest one is that one where he's double covered. Trevor throws it up. Travis Hunter goes up and grabs it. And a lot of guys are saying, man, Travis Hunter hasn't had a lot of wow plays. Well, that was a pretty big wow play on Monday night with the eyes of the world on him, wearing those pink shoes, making an incredible play. So I think that's what you want to see more of. And hopefully, just to kind of switch to the other star receiver, BTJ, hopefully you're starting to see there is some chemistry. And what I love too was there was just a new energy with Brian Thomas Jr. I've talked a lot about, like his body language has been weird these first couple of games. He was up and excited for every play. Offense and defense. He just looked lighter, like mentally and emotionally. And look, it's 2 out of the last 3 games when the offense needs to drive the ball and make a big play. He's made big plays. And in fact, he also drew that pass interference on that 3rd down. They got the ball all the way down to the 1-yard line to set up the game-winning Trevor Lawrence run. So if they can build on that, again, that's what makes the Jags so scary. You're 4-1, a play away from 5-0, and it feels like the offense still has a much higher ceiling that they've not yet hit even yet.
That was a great play coming back to the ball, because if Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't make an attempt to go back to the ball, that's not a pass interference. If he kind of just falls back or doesn't even try, then the game's over. But he's the one who comes back to the ball, draws the pass interference. That was a great heads-up play by a great wide receiver, and he did look different last night. I don't know if the whole thing coming out about his best friend Lacey actually was proven innocent, his car crash thing, and if that kind of lifted off of his shoulders. But he looks much better than he did in the last couple games. He didn't have any drops. He's looking much better. And I think that they can start trusting him more and more, which is going to be huge going down the rest of the season. But you also bring up the last play where Trevor Lawrence runs it in. And I give Trevor credit for continuing to run and get up. But that whole play stems on Ezra Cleveland pancaking his guy, helping Walker Little just demolish that end, opening the left side wide open for him to go through. That is just something we haven't seen from that offensive line, I think, ever. This offensive line plays together. Hey, I'm not blocking anyone. Let me go chip this guy, knock him down, and go look for another guy to block. That is not what this offensive line used to do. If I wasn't blocking anyone, I'm just standing around. And you know who was standing around? Chris Jones. He should have bought a ticket, just standing, looking around, not finishing the play. Look. That looked like the Jags. And then we looked like the Chiefs, finding someone to go hit and making a play to win the game.
All right, so awesome things out of the offense. Like I said, they put up 24 of the 31 points, and that's because 7 of the points were put up by our defense. That's right. A huge play of the game is almost a 14-point swing when the Chiefs were coming back down the field, tied 14-14. Mahomes is about to score another touchdown, and in walks Devin Lloyd, picks it off, runs it 100 yards back for a touchdown. In fact, it's the longest touchdown by an NFL linebacker on the defensive side ever. So congrats to Devin Lloyd with that. What a play, what a turn of events. And look, they weren't perfect. I mean, the Chiefs had 476 yards of total offense, 318 yards passing. They were averaging 7.6 yards per play, but they were execute the bend don't break defense well enough, and they made the big turnover, ultimately resulted in points and kept points off of the Chiefs.
Devin Lloyd, this story has the potential to be one of the greatest. I don't know. I mean, Jaguars maybe NFL history. A guy that a lot of Jags fans, hey, I mean, we've griped on Miss Devin Lloyd plays plenty in the past 2 years, and going into the offseason, it's like new DC. The Jags don't extend Devin Lloyd. In fact, in the very first game, Devin Lloyd is one of his lowest snap counts in his entire career. And now he is playing as the best defender in the entire NFL. He's redeemed jersey number 0. He's agent 0. And that is one of those plays, just like the Trevor slip twice and get up and score a touchdown. That 99-yard pick six, also the longest in Jags history. That's one of those plays you're going to remember as a Jags fan for the rest of your life. It was such a big moment, such a pivotal moment. He breaks on that ball beautifully. It's not even that bad of a throw or a read. He just doesn't see Devin Lloyd there, jumps in front of it. He jukes out Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is laying there on the ground. He stiff arms one of the other Chiefs players. And Joey, you talked about this, like a hungry offensive line from the Jaguars making those big plays at the end of the game. Well, on that 99-yard pick six, you know who's all the way on the other side of the field sprinting the whole way to set up those blocks? It's 2 defensive linemen. It's Josh Hines-Allen, and I think it was BJ Green. I can't remember the other guy, just sprinted down there to set up Devin Lloyd. That is something that is all about coaching. It's all about culture. It's all about DNA. An amazing play by Devin Lloyd, but I also want to give a shout out to Hines-Allen, that other defense line, sprinting that whole field to set up those final blocks and finish it off with a 99-yard pick six.
And look, Patrick Mahomes is not somebody to get sacks. He's so good. He is the best quarterback in the league until somebody else can supplant him. We had 0 sacks, but we harassed him. We made him uncomfortable at times. We forced him to use his legs. And while, yes, he still threw for over 300 yards, there are some hero lame duck plays where he's throwing it to Tyquan Thornton, that Hail Mary-ish vibe at the beginning of the game that was caught because Campbell gave such soft coverage. He really had to give his A-plus effort in A-plus game and it still fell short. So shout out to the defense. They played very well. And that was probably, while they gave up 28 points, in my mind, that was the most impressive of the performances we've had, despite the fact that at times the Chiefs seem to be able to move the ball at will.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes was playing one of his best games, I feel like, in the regular seasons. Like, he was looking like postseason Patrick Mahomes, playing incredible, and then you went out and beat him when he's playing like that. That just doesn't happen. The defense was incredible. Devin Lloyd is making an argument to be Defensive Player of the Year. He also, it's incredible. You don't pick up his 5th year. He is in a position battle at the beginning of the year. The roster comes out and he is the starter or Ventrell Miller. And in the first game, he only played probably half of the game because Ventrell Miller was in. And then you just absolutely take off. You've supplanted yourself as the number one, and now you're the number one guy on the defense. And he is just, I mean, he read Patrick Mahomes' mind. He decides not to rush, drops back because he's studying the film. He knows what they're about to do and picks it off. It was just all pro play by him. He is playing so well. The defensive line, as you said, JT, they did well-ish. I mean, you could definitely tell we didn't have Trayvon Walker, and Ogba and kind of everyone else that we have is nowhere near good enough to make it look like what we have when we have Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen. So we really need him back, even if he has a club. I think that's going to be a huge gain. I think he's planning on playing next week. So that will really help the defensive line. And I have one con for the whole defense, and that's Tyson Campbell. He's not playing very well. He's not playing at a cornerback one position. He's not playing for the contract that he got. Every time someone makes a play, it's usually Tyson Campbell's guy. He's always a step behind. He's tackling the guy. He's number 2 on the entire defense for tackles. And the reason he's that is because he's letting people catch the ball. He's not making breaks on it. He's playing soft. I'm not happy with the way he's playing. Buster Brown came in and had an incredible pass deflect. Jarian Jones came in on the last defensive series. I thought he played very well too. So with people playing well behind you, I'd watch out Tyson Campbell because you're on notice.
Yeah, and hopefully Travis Hunter continues to improve and get a better feel for the defensive side in the NFL too. The last guy I'll give a shout out to was Eric Murray. Look, he continually looks excellent out there as a safety, and same with Jordan Lewis. Both those were excellent pickups in the offseason. Huge plug and play. And look, Jacksonville defensive metric wise has gone from literally the 32nd worst team in most categories to top 10 in most categories outside of passing. And to your point, Joey, a lot of that's against one player. So I would suspect Jacksonville in the next month to be a net buyer of either a corner or a defensive end, just to continue to beef up that. Because look, we're not generating a lot of sacks. Now, some of these are against good quarterbacks that don't typically give up a lot of sacks. So I would see us potentially be a net buyer in free agency as you get closer to the trade deadline. But a great performance. Joey, you and I got in it last week on, is this more of a 15th best defense? Is this more of the 5th best defense? I said 15th. You said top 5. I'm going to move them up again to about top 7 or 8. I'm still not fully convinced because I think there are some limitations of this, but there's certainly a dangerous defense, a team that teams don't want to play against, and a very physical defense. They're going to make you earn every yard. There's so many hard hits. It feels like it really feels similar to the Lions in a lot of ways, where they just play hard. And in every yard and every single point and first down you get, you have to earn against us.
Yeah, I want to give 2 more shout outs on defense. One is Foye Oluokun, 14 tackles, 7 of those solo. One of my favorite things was Liam Coen was talking about after the game. They were asking me all these questions about, well, what kind of happened with the slow start? Did they just a little bit too bright lights? He's like, no, honestly, he's like, we maybe were a little too amped. He's like, I didn't even have to say anything to get the guys going and fired up, because apparently Foye in the locker room was just firing everybody up, getting everyone so ready, and just like, in some sense, that's sometimes you can play too aggressive, right? You're so going for the ball. You're so going for the big hit. And actually the Jags missed some tackles, which hasn't been characteristic of this defense early on. And so that's probably a little part of the reason why they had that slow start, but it is an important part too, Joey. And that's why, if you're Chiefs fans right now, I would be a little bit concerned, or maybe a lot of bit concerned, because I think that was Mahomes' best game. If I haven't talked about a bunch through the first couple of weeks, he had actually been pretty inaccurate. He was kind of towards the bottom 5 or 10 and a lot of those quarterback missed targets. Well, he has that big game. And then the second shout out I want to give as well is they had their big weapon in Xavier Worthy. It's something we talked about a bunch, is you've got to limit number 1 for the Chiefs. Well, guess who was on Worthy a bunch? Again, Travis Hunter. He played a ton both ways, and he was huge. Worthy had 9 targets with an additional run, and he only had 6 catches for 42 yards, a run for 9 yards. He was coming off that massive game where he just dominated the Ravens, and the Jags were able to keep him in check, keep him away from any big plays, and a ton of credit has to go to Travis Hunter. He played very, very well on defense. He also had that great third down breakup on Travis Kelce early in the game as well. Easily Travis Hunter's best game, in my opinion, not just on offense, as we talked about, but also on defense.
The third aspect of the game was special teams. And look, while defensively and offensively, I think Jacksonville was pretty even. In my mind, we dominated in special teams, which ultimately made the difference. LaQuint Allen, great 4 returns for 117 yards, averaging 30 yards per play. And Cam Little had that big 52-yard kick. But I would say special teams is less about our goodness and more about the Chiefs badness because they had 4 holding calls on kick returns in the special on special teams, which killed them because there's a couple of times where they got big returns, including the last one under 30 seconds that got called back because of a holding penalty. Also, you can't kick the ball out of bounds on the critical drive in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go. Butker kicking the ball out of bounds set Jacksonville up in great field position for their game-winning drive.
Yeah, LaQuint Allen played well. I mean, they were purposely kicking away from Tootin. We were sitting watching the game, and I pointed out to Jack, they kept switching Tootin and LaQuint Allen, trying to get them to accidentally kick it to him. And they were purposely kicking it to Allen, hoping that he would make a mistake or he's not as good as Tootin. But he showed out and had great returns on every single one that he got kicked.
Another rookie shout out is Rayon Lane had 2 nice big tackles on punt returns as well. So a lot of Jags rookies, Tootin and Allen, Travis Hunter, Jonah Monheim coming in there at the end, another 7th round pick out of USC having a very nice drive. So shout out to potentially Gladstone's masterclass, but no, really good day from the rookies. And how fun is it? How ironic is it if you're on X or a lot of other places where all the Chiefs are crying about penalties and flags and all that because they had over 100 penalty yards. And it's like, that's a little bit ironic because you always would say, Chiefs, only losers cry about the refs and the penalties. So it's fun to be on the winning side.
And I wanted to point out something that you just said there, Jack, that a lot of people really haven't given Gladstone enough credit for. Jonah Monheim, a 7th round pick. Ryan Lane, a 6th round pick. LaQuint Allen Jr., the best pass blocker for running backs, a 7th round pick. These are hits that we're having late in the draft. When have the Jaguars ever said that? Usually that person's not on the team or he's sitting on the practice squad somewhere. No, these people that we took in the 6th and 7th round are making an impact and starting or coming into the game and making plays. It is incredible how well he has drafted. I'm excited to see what the future holds now for the Jaguars, that it doesn't matter where we are in the draft. He could hit anywhere. And it is incredible to see 2 7th rounders playing in this game on Monday night and making huge impacts.
Let's go Jags, baby. We got a 3-game win streak. Let's make it 4 on Sunday.
Absolutely. Let's keep this win streak alive. This is not the time to pat yourself on the back and say, you've done it, you did it. There is still a ton of season to play. You still have 2 very hard games before the bye. Let's not fall asleep. It's at home. We need to show out again like we did on Monday night. Fans, do not be like, oh, we watched Monday night, we can stop. No, go cheer on this team. Be out there again, full force today against the Seahawks. It's going to be another tough game. We're a little bit injured, but can we still win this game? I absolutely believe so that we can, and we'll get into it on the next episode where we'll break it down. But until then, we're going to end it like we always do.
Duuuval.